Well, it all depended on the unit in which, we worked in triage. The patients came in from the dust-off unit, and it was the first time that we didn't have to have a doctor's order to draw blood or to do X-rays, or which was alien to me. I thought, oh, I got to find a doctor to get an order for this, but we just sent them through, um, and then that was the triage. Holding was a place where a lot of medical, we had some medical and some maybe psych patients. Post-op 1 was for the seriously ill. It was like an ICU, and the more serious patients were there. Post-op 2 were, dings and not as severe. So I worked in pretty much all those places until I went to the OR. Interestingly enough, when I worked in triage, I thought, oh my God, please let me just get this patient to the OR. Don't let him die on me. Just let me get him to the OR. Then once I got to the OR, I thought, please do not let him die on the table. Do not let him die on the table. Let me get him to post-op 1. And of post-op 1, I would think, oh, if they're going to die, please let him do him in the OR. Don't do it, on my shift. And I was talking to some friends here at the reunion, and we all felt the same, don't die on my shift, just be stable enough. It's really difficult. I didn't realize so many came through because we had pushes. I was there for Hamburger Hill, it was called. And then there were times that, it was nothing. But when because the dust-off unit was right next to us, we heard the bells go off, or the whistle or the siren, and knew they were leaving to pick up injured. We didn't know how many would come. And as I said, if there were battles, there was a push. But other times, it was quiet. So from downstairs, I didn't realize that we had gotten quite so many patients so fast. I think I saw a slide that said the 22nd did 2/3 of the work of the evacuation hospitals did, and apparently we were the busiest hospital, the 22nd surge. It's interesting because the first time I heard one go off, I ran to the hospital thinking, oh, incoming, and Colonel Lewis said, where are you going? I said, well, I got to get to the hospital. And she said, no, 12-hour shifts, your time will come. We can't exhaust everybody all the time. So there are people on staff that will take care of it. Now that went out the window when there was a push. Then push, it was, everything going. But for the most part, we might only get in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whereas on pushes, we'd get off, get dozens and scores in. We did, well, the surgical hospital kept patients 48 to 72 hours just trying to stabilize them. And then they went either to an evacuation hospital or they went to one of the hospital ships, the Sanctuary or the Repose. And our head injuries went there, our eyes and head injuries went there. The rest stayed in country until they could be safely evacuated either to Japan or back to the States. I think seeing devastation that you couldn't fix or do anything about, I think the children and civilians that would come in that would be just, maybe getting wood from a wood pile, and it would be booby-trapped, and they would just come in so mangled. And our soldiers that would come in. And because this was 1969, and there had been a lot of talk of drawdown, and so some really bad injuries. And our patient would say, well, we were told the war was ending or the war was over today. And then it still took till 1975, so it was still 6 years later. And I think that, to see such young, healthy men so terribly disabled for the most part. I remember one young farmer came in, and he was missing his right arm below the elbow. And he said, I can't tell you the number of times that I've said, oh, I would give my right arm for this or that. And he said, I never thought it would be asked of me. So I will never I wish I'd never said that. And consequently, I've never used that expression myself, and I don't like to hear others use it because I don't think you know what you're talking about. We had one young lieutenant, a first lieutenant, who was hit by friendly fire, and his femoral artery was hit. We did not have a vascular surgeon there, and we couldn't get him out. So he was put in a spica cast, and that is a cast that would totally immobilize his body, hoping that if he didn't move that leg, perhaps the injury would self-seal, for want of a better word, you know, if he didn't move it. Or so I remember him really well. I didn't hear from very many patients at all, but he was one that did write to me and say that he had been evacuated to Fitzsimmons Hospital in Denver, and he had lost his leg, but he said that he had a prosthesis and he was learning to ski quite well.